Howdy folks, I'm capricious comment eater, carelessly carrying cantankerous contents.
I'm Amber.
And here are more cantankerous contents for us to carry. It's a bag full of Reddit comments. Very cantankerous. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Greedy and Rude While Planning My Wedding? I'm a 28-year-old female and my fiance is a 36-year-old male, and we are planning our wedding. And last night he accused me of being greedy and rude. Some background, I come from a wealthy family and have worked hard to manage finances responsibly. My father has given each of his daughters $120,000 for their wedding. My sisters used all of it for their weddings, but I asked to use $70,000 for the wedding and $10,000 for a honeymoon, saving $40,000 to help us with future children expenses. My dad agreed to this plan, but only if I could make the wedding work with that budget. I didn't make this decision lightly. When I first got engaged 5 months ago, I considered using the full amount for a European wedding, but I realized that I didn't want to prioritize that. A wedding is a one-day thing, and securing our future financial stability seemed more important. My fiance has been patient, but has accused me of delaying the wedding due to indecisiveness, though I'm just overwhelmed by spending so much on one day and managing everything else. Last night, I asked him to help review venues for a tour that we're having on Monday. He rushed through the options, and I started to cry from the stress. I also wanted to vet the venue's prices before booking, but this frustrated him. He said that I was rude for not wanting to use all of the money for a wedding that he would love, claiming that going over budget was fine because this was our most important day. He has always dreamed of a grand wedding with a lot of guests. He criticized the venue that I liked, an old library that only seated 180 people and fits our budget. He said that I was being rude by limiting my guest list to 60 people so that he could invite 120 of his family. He also accused me of being greedy for wanting to save the leftover money and said that I looked like I was hoarding it. He argued that since we are already financially well off, I shouldn't worry about saving for our future children. He also mentioned that our wedding planner had supposedly said that I was being greedy, though he later admitted to making that up to show me how rude I was being. I thought that I was being fiscally responsible by saving the extra money, but now I'm questioning if I've made the right decision. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. And talk about being greedy and rude. This dude is like, OP, I would seriously reconsider this man. And like, if you do marry him, make sure you have a prenup to protect your assets and any inheritance or anything you get, because I am getting serious I want your money vibes from this. I mean, a $70,000 wedding is a lot of money for a wedding. And him being like, that's not enough. We can spend the full $120,000 because this is what I've been dreaming of. Like, no.
Well, the thing is that I think in a wedding, of course, both parties are going to have different priorities on what's important and whatnot. But part of planning for a wedding is working together as a team so that both partners feel like they've been heard and have an event that they both want and feel like is representative of the ceremony they want. Now, as for his position here, this really feels Darvo-y, right? I mean, he's turning this around so that he's the victim and OP's being the greedy one for wanting to, save for their children?
Well, that's the thing, is like, nothing OP is doing is actually greedy by any stretch of the word. Like, OP is trying to be financially responsible and plan for their futures. And it seems like he's being greedy by just wanting to get her money.
Yeah. I would understand it a little bit more if she wanted to spend the $70,000 on the wedding and then spend $50,000 on a ring for herself or something like that, right? Or a piece of jewelry, or then I could be like, yeah, this does feel a little bit like it's on the greedy end of things, right? But she's not using this money for personal enrichment. She's using it for the household future expenses and the honeymoon. So, I mean, I don't know what his deal here is, though, but I think that she really should reconsider this relationship. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Spiritual Cry 3316 says, not the jerk, and do not marry this man until after the two of you have gone through some serious prenuptial counseling. The number one reason that people divorce is over money issues. And you two are not even on the same continent, let alone the same page. This is important, OP. Do it. You and your future children deserve it. And OP replies, thank you for your thoughts. We are currently in premarital counseling, and I think revisiting our finances and what our goals are would be important. And Direct Antique says, you're financially well off, he says. Do you have a real good job, or are your parents financially well off? Not the jerk, I think your plan of spending the money is sound. And Dazzling Leader says, if the bride and groom were wealthy, they could pay the difference and wouldn't be worrying about $40,000 for their future children. And OP replies, so this was his argument exactly, which is why I felt so selfish for not having the bigger wedding that he wanted. I have been working to save quite a lot over the past few years since being in the workforce. And I got out of grad school, and I think that we would still be even okay without the $40,000. But I think that I still get anxiety around the potential that I could not give my children what they needed by not providing enough, or by not being present enough, mother, because I'm the main breadwinner. My hope was that I could save even more so that I could potentially not work on Fridays or something like that. His argument was that just in our own family unit, I have enough saved that $40,000 would not make a difference. Well, what do you think about that?
I mean, it seems like OP is bringing all the finances to the table. What is he actually bringing here?
Yeah.
Is he actually saving money? Like, my big concern here is that he is just interested in a meal ticket. You know, he sees what OP has to offer, and he's happy to drain her funds. OP is being very smart because you never know, like, how things can go. You know, once you have kids in the picture, it's very important to have an emergency fund, to have that rainy day fund. And I think OP's desire to be an involved and present parent is really important too.
Yeah. Well, I also kind of wonder if OP should consider getting a prenup at this point in time.
Well, that's what was the idea from the beginning, is that she absolutely needs a prenup. I do not trust that this man has good intentions.
And Always a Prairie Girl says, if you go through with this, don't say yes without an amazing prenup. He sounds like a gold digger. My eyes kept popping more and more as I read this. I'm not saying to break up, but please protect yourself. And OP replies, you know, everyone keeps mentioning prenup and gold digger, and I've never really thought of it that way before. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive not to know what they are, but I've never thought of him this way. But no one in my family has ever gotten divorced or gone through a situation with someone like that. Some posters have brought up the fact that we can still share finances, which is what my personal belief marriage should be, and have a prenup to protect assets in the unfortunate case of a divorce. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Will I be a jerk if I move out of our apartment knowing that my fiance and his mom can't afford it without me? Throw away because my fiance follows my main. I'm a 29-year-old female and my ex-fiance is a 27-year-old male, and we have been living together for about a year and a half. Fiance got his undergraduate degree, worked for a couple of years, and then decided to get an MBA, which is how he ended up in our city. We moved in together after he finished up his MBA program. Fiance is from the Midwest, and his mom always wanted him to move back. When he told her that he was staying here, she was heartbroken. I went to college and I got my degree in a STEM field. After I graduated, I got a job with my current company and I moved to the city where we currently live. It's a big international company with multiple locations in the US and international. I love my job and I like the company that I work for, and the pay is pretty good. All in all, a pretty good deal. During COVID, my office shut down and we all went work from home. After COVID, they decided not to reopen the office, so I've been 100% work from home since early 2020. I'm currently making considerably more than him, mainly because I've been working for 7 years and I'm in tech. I have been living by myself in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I just had my office set up in the living room since it was just me. When we moved in together, we decided to get a 2-bedroom apartment so that I could use the extra room as an office. Because of this, I was paying 2/3 of the rent and he was paying 1/3. We split everything else 50-50. So the problem started this past May. Fiance's mom told him that she wanted to move to our city to be closer to him. She asked if she could stay with us for a little while she looked for a job and got settled. She's a teacher, so figured that she would be able to get a teaching job pretty quickly. Because of that, I didn't really mind her staying with us, and I figured that it would just be for a couple of months over the summer, since I thought that it would only be for a couple of months. I moved my office into a corner of our bedroom, and my fiance bought a bed and put it in the second bedroom. The problem is that she never applied for any teaching positions and has been living with us for 6 months now. She and I already have been struggling with each other since she moved in, and I can't make her understand that I work full time. She constantly interrupts while I'm working, which is bad enough, but she even interrupts while I'm on Teams calls. She always asks me to take her places because she doesn't like to drive in our city. She has pretty outdated views on gender roles and is constantly giving me a hard time for not doing more around the house and making fiance help with chores, do his own laundry, etc. The constant criticism and the insults are really wearing me down, and I hate having my office shoved in a corner of our bedroom. Back in September, I told fiance that since it looks like mom is going to stay with us for a little while, we should split rent 3 ways. He told me that she can't afford that since she has to conserve money until she gets a job. I told him that I wasn't happy paying the extra for the bedroom that I can't use, so finally he said that we could do a 50-50 split. I could afford to pay the extra, but I hate the idea of funding her lifestyle. Every time I complain about her or the situation, he says that he agrees, but he doesn't know what to do because he can't kick his mom out. And he won't talk to her about the way she treats me or how she behaves. When I asked him what the long-term plan is, he says that he doesn't know. I thought about giving him an ultimatum to tell her that she has to leave, but I think that he would just end up resenting me for putting his mom on the street. So one of my girlfriends is losing her roommate at the end of February. Our lease renews June 1st. I'm very strongly considering moving out of our current apartment and moving in with her. I can afford to pay my part of the rent on our current apartment and also half of the rent at my friend's apartment. It's not ideal, but I'm not a big spender, so it's doable. The issue is this: if he and his mom aren't able to pay for 1/3 of the rent each, there is no way that they could even cover the whole thing on their own. But I can't live like this anymore. So I'm pretty sure this is what I'll do, but I wanted to see what people thought and if I would be the jerk for leaving them like this. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. They're taking advantage of you. His mom came under the pretense that she was going to get a job. She has a teaching certificate, and like teachers are in high demand basically everywhere.
Yeah.
So if she was actively looking for a job, it probably would not take her much time to find one. It doesn't sound like there's any reason why she can't work. She's just choosing not to work because you and her son are subsidizing her life.
Yeah.
If you move out, mommy dearest is going to have to get a job. I mean,
or move back to where she came from.
Or move back to where she came from. But they'll find some way to manage without you. They may not be able to stay in the current place, but they'll figure things out. It's not your responsibility to look after them forever.
Yeah. I think, should OP tell their fiance before they move out?
I mean, it depends on what the dynamics are. It depends on how controlling and manipulative he is. If she feels like he will guilt trip her out of doing this and like change her mind, then it's best not to tell him beforehand. And but if she feels like she can have an honest conversation and he's not going to retaliate or manipulate her, then tell him before.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem that I have here. I don't know if she should tell him or not, given the situation, but I think it would be a courtesy to have a discussion with him about what her plans are and say, look, I think things aren't working out between us. She doesn't have to throw the mother under the bus or anything like that. She can just say, I think things aren't working out between us. And, at the, end of this month, I'm going to be moving in with someone else. And then that way, at least she has the ability to give them a heads up that she doesn't think this relationship is working. And if he wants to take the steps to remedy that, then that would be great. But it sounds like he needs to grow a spine before OP could even consider dating him more or even marrying him for that matter,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and in this particular case, I'm less concerned about OP telling him because it sounds like she's still going to be paying her part of the rent for the next few months.
Yeah.
And so it's not like she would be leaving and rent's due the next day and there's no heads up.
Yeah.
She's paying until the end of the lease. And while it's not ideal, for her, it wouldn't leave them high and dry. They would have several months to figure out alternate arrangements.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is a good point in that respect. And I mean, I think that's good on OP. Well, I do get a little bit concerned here that he'll try to pull something like not pay his part of the rent at all, because one of the things that OP's worried about is basically like him ruining her credit by not paying the rent or something like that. And then so I think like that would be a concern that I would have.
Yeah, well, if yeah, and it's really hard to navigate situations where people are vindictive like that. And so I don't know what the best course of action is. Opie, I guess, has to weigh her options, and maybe she could pay rent at the friend's place, but still live there until the lease is up, and then go move in with her friend or something. Whatever feels safest for her.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be my biggest concern is vindictiveness here, where he's like,
And you could also talk to the landlord and explain the situation and see if she can get off the lease.
yeah, and that might actually be a good call too. Hopefully she could. She could even pay a part of the rent that has to be removed from the lease. I don't know. It's a tricky situation in that respect, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Red Fancy Dress says, Grandma here. Honey, you're not the jerk. You need to dump this mama's boy and his mooching lazy mama. Don't even tell them. Get a moving truck and get out in one day with a could have been a great relationship if your mother didn't ruin it. Good luck and leave. In the meantime, I would make her miserable AF. And OP replies, can you be my grandma? And Own Surround 9688 says, is he going to be your ex because of the situation, or was he already going to be an ex? Either way, not the jerk, but I was just thinking that if you moved out, he will see what he lost and be more motivated to get rid of his mom. That way, he won't resent you for it. And OP replies, he's probably going to be my ex because of this situation. Before she showed up, everything was good, but since she got here, it's been terrible. Honestly, at this point, we're just two roommates that happen to sleep in the same bed. I can't even remember the last time that we had personal time because she's always around, always watching TV in the living room or on the other side of our bedroom wall. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Telling My Kid That I Am Her Actual Dad? So for some context, I'm a 24-year-old male, and I was 19 when my mom had my younger sister, MJ, not her actual name for privacy. My mom was using illicit substances, stopped during pregnancy, but when MJ was about 5 months old, she started back on using these substances again, dropping MJ off at any place that she could. Seeing this, I wanted to give MJ a life that she deserved, not what our mother gave me. Even though I was only 19, I filed petition to get custody of her. It was a long and hard process, but when MJ was 2, I finally got full custody. All this to say that I'm legally MJ's dad. I'm the only dad that she's ever known, and she calls me dad. A year ago, I met my girlfriend, AITA, a 24-year-old female, and we started dating not long after that. I really thought that I found somebody to like me and MJ. AITA would always take MJ on these little girl days and little dates. I proposed to AITA on Sunday. It seemed like everything was going great until a few hours ago. AITA was at my apartment having dinner with me and MJ. Well, when I was cooking dinner, I heard MJ say something along the lines of, "You're going to marry my daddy and you're going to be my best friend." I thought that it was cute until I heard AITA laugh and say, "He's not your dad, MJ," which caught me off guard. I guess she thought that I couldn't hear because there's a wall between the kitchen. But still, I don't know why AITA said that. MJ was confused, as 5-year-olds are, and said that I was, and AITA kept correcting her until MJ started crying, which honestly made me mad. I asked AITA why she would even say that, and AITA started saying that she was going to find out eventually, and I was a jerk for not telling MJ in the first place. I got mad, and one thing led to another, and I said something that I shouldn't have, telling her that she had no right, and AITA went home, and me and MJ had dinner alone. AITA started blowing up my phone later, saying that what I did was wrong, and basically was just ranting to me through text. I started doubting myself, and now I'm here. So am I the jerk? And OP makes a note. I was going to tell MJ that I was her brother someday, yes, but when she's old enough to understand. MJ is only 5 and can't make sense of it. Also, sorry if I'm bad at explaining. All right, folks, what do you think?
I don't think OP is in the wrong. I do think that now the cat is out of the bag, it's time for him to start finding age-appropriate ways to talk to her about this.
Yeah.
And of course, he doesn't have to say that he's not her dad because he is her dad legally. But, you know, explaining the situation again in some age-appropriate way, and maybe with the help of like a counselor or therapist to help him find the right wording and how to talk to her about this.
I mean, I think that's actually a really good point. Like, I think this might be a little bit above OP's pay grade at this point in time, and reaching out to a therapist to kind of sit down with her and kind of explaining things in an age-appropriate way would be a really good way of helping to smooth things out. And I think that OP can say that, yes, I am your dad, because OP is her dad. He's just not her biological dad, right? And, you know, they can explain things like, you had a bad mother or bad father who, you know, weren't taking care of you, and something like that. Whatever the counselors want to say, right? Because I'm not certainly to fill that position, but yeah, I think you're right. I think counseling is probably a really good way to go here.
Now, I would seriously reconsider the relationship with AITA, with the way she acted. OP makes it clear in the comments that OP was aware that the daughter didn't know, and that he wasn't planning on telling her yet.
Yeah.
And we have to wonder what her motives are here, because this wasn't like even, it was like, he's not your dad. No, OP is her dad. He is legally her father.
Yeah.
And my concern is, like, now that they're engaged, that she's maybe trying to put distance between OP and the daughter to get rid of her so they can have their own blood, family, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I can't fathom any reason why you would go up to a little girl and be like, no, he's not your dad.
Well, I mean, I think that's the real question, is why she would do this, right? And she's trying to justify it as, oh, well, you were eventually going to say it. And that wasn't her place. It wasn't her position. And you have to wonder, like, if she does this now, what is she going to do when they're married, right?
Right. And what does she say on these girls' days? Like, this, if she's willing to say this behind OP's back, what else would she be willing to say to the daughter?
Yeah. So I would be really cautious at this point in time if I were OP. I don't think that this relationship is salvageable, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and certainly at a minimum, she should not be alone with the daughter, because I do not trust her motives. I don't trust her to not, you know, say things like, oh, well, you weren't wanted, or all these sorts of things. You made your brother's life so hard. Like, I can see things going badly, and the daughter does not need that put on her. She is innocent in all of this. She had nothing to do with her conception. And, you know, it's important to protect kids as much as possible from guilt that they shouldn't have because adults want to say mean things.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What's a mail carrier's favorite font?
Well, I would say it's Courier.
Yes, it is. And today is Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Oh, so make sure to go hunt down all the mail carriers you can. Chase after them on foot if you have to, just to thank them. It won't disturb them at all.
Yeah, I do not recommend that. It's also National Homemade Soup Day, so if you want to make yourself a nice batch of soup.
Yes, throw it at the mail carriers.
No, do not.
Make sure they have know your appreciation for them. Mail carrier, have some soup. Thank you. Throw cans of soup at them. Do not throw cans of soup at your mail carrier, please. And don't blame me if you do. This is disclaimer time. I am not serious. And I have Earl Grey.
Yes, if you're going to thank your mail carrier, thank them politely, be nice to them, do nice things for the hard work they do. Do not follow Brian's bad advice.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Terrific Tuesday, spelled with a TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on bad relationships, or how to ruin a relationship.
Well, I can think of at least 3 reasons. Telling someone's kid that they're not actually your kid, moving in a parent with no definite end date, and deciding to like try and take all your partner's money to spend lavishly.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.